Welcome to the world of Level Up Weekly, a bounteous, open podcast filled with amazing loot, legitimately challenging enemies, but not too difficult to defeat, and of course, the EXP. Join our fellow big headphone adventurers Dylan the Dude and Spurnaday as they journey on a quest to find the EXP from gaming news and discussion. Hello everybody, welcome to Level Up Weekly, your weekly EXP for gaming news, and welcome to another glorious edition here, as it is another beautiful Thursday night for all of you beautiful people listening to us over on the radio, which is a weird thing to say still. I'm still trying to get used to this whole radio platform nowadays.
I know, it's like, I'm still not used to it after 11 years. It's still, still sometimes new to me.
Well, I'm used to the internet side of things, so for me, it's like going backwards, but also going forwards at the same time. It's like, you're now on a really cool, radio platform, but you also have this side that you're like, but am I going backwards compatible? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you're still going forward because aside from listening to us on 106.7 WRHC and 93.5 WRHZ, you can also find us on this radio platform online in TuneIn Radio and Shoutcast if you ever so would like to. WRHC, search that, you'll find us right then.
And as always, you can always find our typical podcast production over on Podbean and SoundCloud and iTunes and wherever you do typically listen to podcasts at. So you'll find them anywhere. You'll find them anyway, anyhow. Just think of the platform. You know what? I guarantee you'll find a dove, and that dove will know where to find Level Up Weekly.
And you'll also find us on Twitch, but you'll also find us on Twitch for a different reason in the coming weeks. Want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to segue into it. Of course, we have something coming up here that we mentioned and talked about last Thursday. We need to remind you guys that this coming Sunday, August 13th and 14th, is going to be a 36-hour charity live stream benefiting Helen DeVos Children's Hospital in Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is something that Dylan and I have been doing. For you, it's been 3 years. For me, it's been 4, because I know I had 1 year ahead of you, if I remember correctly.
Yep, you had the first year with our buddies, Gage and Austin first.
Yep. So we have now entering our 4th year for Level Up for the Kids 2017. We'll be starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over on twitch.tv/Spurnaday. That's SPHYRNIDAE. Or just Google Latin for Hammerhead Shark. You'll find that too, just in case that you're like, wait a minute, how did he just say that? But yeah, we're going to be available. We'll be rocking that out for 36 hours. Our gaming list is going to be to complete 4 different games. Well, three games for sure. 4 if we get a little short on time and we're just too good at games.
If we're really good at what we do, yeah.
We're going to be doing Super Mario 64, then transitioning over to Undertale, which Undertale has a fun twist to it that I'm going to announce. It's something that Dylan hates me for doing, and at the same time, I'm just kind of sitting here in the background really excited for it. That is, for those of you that know a little bit about Undertale, there's 2 different ways that you can play it. Well, 3, technically. First one's kind of like you're just go in, do whatever. You're not trying to focus on anything in particular. Then you can do a pacifist run. The pacifist run is you don't want to try to kill anybody in this game. Then there's a genocide run, which is kill all of the people. So we're going to do something kind of fun where if we meet our goal of $1,000, well, I shouldn't say meet our goal, but if we meet $1,000 by the time that we beat Super Mario 64, we're going to go with a genocide run, and you're going to make Dylan do it, which is great because Dylan hates the genocide run. So let's do it.
Of course, we do have to figure that there will be a time limit set by that point because we can't really start a pacifist run and then go into a genocide run because then it's just, the weird ending. So
you have about 10 to 12 hours to accomplish this and get us to $1,000. And if you do, then we get to torture Dylan on stream and he has to end up playing. And if not, then I guess we'll do a pacifist run.
Or if you want to donate $1,000 the minute after we start Undertale so I can still do the pacifist run, I will very much appreciate and love you all.
I mean, $2,000 will go back to pacifist run. Every $1,000 will alternate it. And if we get to 3,000, then I'll let you have your choice, I guess.
Whew.
So $2,000, you make it go back. $1,000, it goes to doing a genocide run. So good luck, and I hope that you guys continue to raise money for charity through that.
You can't see it, but my fingers are really, really crossed here.
He's hoping for $2,000 because we don't want to be below that, because at that point it's just too easy, and we're just like, that's lame. It's lame. Doesn't matter, because I'll be playing Super Mario 64 to play originally, and it's the original. Like, it's not going to be on an emulated version. It's the OG on the Nintendo 64, and that one's going to be fun because I've always loved Nintendo, or the N64 in general, but I always love playing Super Mario 64, so this one will be a fun one for me. And then, like I said, okay, so we've got Super Mario 64, then to Undertale. Once that's done, we're going to go off to, our next decision was The Last of Us, right?
Yes.
So then we're going to play The Last of Us, which will also have an incentive. I'll talk about it when the ending comes in, because I really can't necessarily. It's going to be kind of like a secret thing. Like, if we raise let me put it like this. If we raise $1,500, I'll go with option B. If not, we're going to go with option A up until that point. So I'll mention to you after the broadcast, because I really can't mention this without spoiling the entire game.
It's been years since I've actually seen a playthrough, and I very vaguely remember bits of the playthrough. So yeah, it'll be new to me too. So
yeah, there's a choice that you can make that goes later on in the game. We'll leave that be for now. We'll let it be. We'll let it simmer with you guys. If we do get through all 3 games and we still have time on that 36-hour charity stream, we'll be playing Sonic Adventure. If you guys don't know, that game is broken as can be.
But still a classic.
It's still fun as can be to play. Don't get me wrong, but holy cow, is that game really glitched. So we'll see how it comes out. I think that's going to be a game that we're going to be like, whoa, what is this thing? Haha, that's great.
I mean, technically, you can finish it in under an hour.
That's, okay, we're not speedrunners here, and I don't know how to glitch the game that hard. I just know how to go straight through and apparently die on one of their loops in the first stage, which is dumb to me. But anyway, so yeah, that's our 4 games listed for that. Again, it's for $3,000 is our end goal for that 36-hour charity stream. Dylan and I are going to try to make it out to be there as long as possible. If not, we do have friends and some special guests coming in who are going to hang out with us, pop on the extra mic, and be able to talk and chat with us and have a good time. So worst case scenario, we'll be there as a bunch of really good buddies trying to raise money for a good cause. So I think at the end of the day, I'm just happy to say that we're helping out somebody.
Absolutely.
So it'll be exciting to see what happens. Dylan, we've been doing this for 3 years now. Let's just kind of take a minute. What were some of your favorite memories so far from doing this?
Oh, let me see. Well, when we were doing Prop Hunt last year, was so much fun, and we were all so very, very tired, and I didn't have my settings set properly, so it looked like a strange trip or something.
You didn't have the textures, that's right.
I did not.
You didn't own. I don't think you own Counter-Strike Source, and most of that came from Source, which sucks. A side note, because it's like you get a $10 game, and then you got another $20 or something to add it. Anyway, different story. It's been here for years. Well, I'm not going to complain about it.
Well, and like as it was, I thought I was just really tired, and that's why all the colors were messed up.
So you were tripping that you had different colors because you were so tired. It makes sense.
It was like 20 hours into it, or like 18 hours into it, so it was like...
I felt really bad because I had someone come in and host me for a magnanimous amount of viewers, and I really appreciated them for doing that. It was one of our my good friends from the Rocket League community who's a much bigger streamer than I am. And when he hosted me, about an hour later, I noticed that I was getting a giant drop in frames recently, and I was like, hold on, what is going on? And so I had to reboot the stream, lost all of that, and I'm like, well, I was at like 100 viewers concurrent. Now I'm at like 10. Yay.
Feels bad, man.
We did something different last year where we streamed on my channel, on your channel, and you were able to multi-Twitch between both of them if you wanted to. But this year, I think we just wanted to do something different that we haven't done yet. Again, doing this for 4 years, I think we've kind of condoned these habits of doing some multiplayer games and hanging out with some people over in chat, which, of course, we're still going to do.
Yeah.
But this year, we wanted to make it a little bit different because we felt like While it was great to be playing all these different multiplayer games, maybe incorporate a viewer, a couple viewers into the mix, play some prop hunt, play Rocket League, play Team Fortress 2. I mean, we played so many random modes of TF2 last year and the year before that I'm still trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jonathan, aka Metacrunch. That guy has been supporting us since year one. I hope to be able to see him again coming up here, hopefully hanging out and chat with us. I know you're in the States again for a short period of time. You got a shout out on the radio. You're welcome. Anyway, but again, this is the biggest amount that we've ever tried to raise. $3,000 goes to Helen DeVos Children's Hospital. We're working through Extra Life Organization, through our team Level Up for the Kids. So everything that gets donated over to our Extra Life page goes immediately over to them. So we don't touch a penny of it. So
Yeah.
you know for sure. It even mentions everything on their website. Everything goes directly to the hospital. So you don't touch anything. They just give you a donation page.
And that's awesome. It's a very simple way to do it. And personally, I myself, Dylan the Dude, my brother has actually been going to the Helen DeVos Children's Hospital for many, many years for his diabetes, and now also he was diagnosed with celiac when he went there. So he's been at the Helen DeVos Children's Hospital for a while, and I'm very, very proud that we can do something to help out a place that's helped my brother out so much.
You know, you never really notice, and this is the reason that I started this 4 years ago. When I started this 4 years ago, I was doing some YouTubing work, and I kind of followed the cycle where some people were starting to do some charity streams. But after the first one I did, the first 24-hour stream, it was really crazy because I learned why I would continue to do this throughout the stream, because it made me realize that doing something like this to help kids out, to help those less fortunate than us in methods, whether it would be through playing video games or going to a charity drive or a marathon. I mean, whatever the case, it's great to be able to help for a good cause, though. And to be able to raise money for a children's hospital that helps that family who's not able to really financially support the next issue that their child has. That's where we come in. We raise money for stuff like this, and they're able to go out with a new leg or be able to even go for heart transplants or get treated for cancer. I mean, there's so many different things that happen, and that's what's amazing about about us doing what we do. And I can't make that light enough. It's a monumentally important thing, and to be able to work with such a great community as what we have and what other people have, it's really great to see what we can do.
Sorry, I got a little frog in my throat. Maybe I should go to the...
He's choked. No, he's not saying that. He's choked up at the fact that we were having such a touching moment there.
It's so heartfelt. But enough about that. You can find us when and where.
So, again, August 13th, starting at 9 a.m., we'll go to August 14th, 9 p.m., and you'll find us over at twitch.tv/Sfernadae, spelled SPHYRNIDAE. And again, you can see us there. You can follow live tweets from us there, either at my personal Twitter, at SfernadaeRL, and also at Level Up Weekly. We'll have our updates in that mixture too. We'll also throw in some promotional things there as it goes along for Level Up Weekly in there. But outside of that, Dylan, I think we've thrown enough for it. We may mention it again once or twice here, but we got some cool news this week.
I think it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of this week's show.
Speaking of meat and potatoes, this transition sucks. I know for a fact. Blizzard. Let's talk about Blizzard for a minute, because everyone talks about Blizzard. Why not?
When I think of meat and potatoes, I think of Blizzard. Yeah.
I mean, when you think of meat and potatoes, you think of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is typically one of the biggest meals that you have throughout the year. Well, this is one of the biggest gaming companies. So I just somehow made the segue work, and then I ruined it. Over-explaining to justify a transition.
But with over 30 million people playing their most recent property, Overwatch, and then even the foundation they had before that with Heroes of the Storm and the ever-popular and ever-iconic World of Warcraft.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. Recently, they got a chance to talk to their president, Blizzard's president, a gosh, Mike Morhaime, I think is how you say his name, Mike
Yeah.
Morhaime. If so, so it was kind of funny because he talked about how, they went through the 17-year drought as the last IP that came in, original IP, was Diablo. Diablo was 17 years ago, the original. Fun fact.
Wow.
17 years ago. That's in 2000, just to make the math real easy for you. So since the success of Blizzard, now 2015, I think, was its release date, or 2016 technically.
15, I think it was 2015.
2015, I know for sure the beta went through. I'm pretty sure the release was shortly after. Anyway, man, I should really remember that date. Anyway, so with its monumental success, over 30 million people playing Overwatch nowadays, they really didn't think that they needed to put a new IP out, but they currently have several incubation teams that are sitting behind right now that are currently developing new and unique IPs that are going to come in the potential future. So when Overwatch, quote unquote, starts dying, they're going to have a backup ready to go.
Which is very interesting because not many big companies have that kind of forethought or have the resources to do something of this nature. So very, very good for them, but we don't really know much about anything, do we?
Not really. A lot of it is still internalized. Nothing's underneath closed testing or any form of open alphas, betas. Nothing's really out there in the mix right now. They're most likely just keeping underneath because, like I said, I think right now what they're seeing is that, again, if you have something as successful as what Overwatch has been doing for Blizzard lately, I mean, why would you bother building another system? Granted, they have those teams still there for reasons being that they don't want to just stint progress. And then when Overwatch, for some reason, gets like this super negative slash, all of a sudden it's like, well, I guess we should start developing it now.
Well, here's a question that I have because I noticed that, do you remember or do you know what Titan was?
Kind of. I don't know enough of the details of it other than it was an MMO that technically was the inspiration of Overwatch itself.
It was a very ambitious MMORPG that actually had a lot of its assets reused in Overwatch. Actually, Tracer was one of the first characters to be created for Overwatch because she was kind of a rip from Titan. And a lot of her gameplay mechanics were ripped from Titan. So it's something that, and I'm going to ask you this for your opinion, what do you think Blizzard should work on next in terms of, what would you like to see from Blizzard? Because I have a theory on this, but I want to hear what you think first. Like, what should they work on?
Well, I'm glad that they have different teams that are working on different games right now. What I would like to see, gosh, this is a good question because, I think right now they've definitely hit a good market with the shooters. I think following up with the new game after this is kind of like a sign that says, hey, we don't care about Overwatch anymore. So I think that would hurt them on the PR side of things. I feel really silly for asking this question, but what is the name of the game genre that is applied to League of Legends, Dota 2, Heroes of the Storm, and that?
That would be a MOBA.
Over the world MOBA. Thank you. For some reason, MOBA couldn't stick in my head for a second. Anyway, and I think that they've pretty much played the game with MOBAs at this point. That I don't think they need to worry about that anymore. But I also don't see them turning to being an RPG-ish kind of market.
Here's kind of my thoughts on the thing, is that look at the games that Blizzard has. They have one of probably the most successful MMORPG in the history of gaming, World of Warcraft. They have StarCraft, which is a top-down RTS, real-time strategy game. So they have that, and that's also massively popular the world over. They have Overwatch, which is their first-person shooter foray that is also massively popular. Then they have Hearthstone, which is, it's an online card game pretty much.
Right.
And also very popular. So they're doing all these things. They've done all these things. But one thing that I notice, and one thing I think that they should continue doing as a trend, is to keep trying a different genre. Because they already have a MOBA, Heroes of the Storm, that does all right. They have a first-person shooter that does well. They have a card game that does well. I think they should not do something in those genres.
Sorry to cut you off. Did you mention Warcraft in there too?
Yes, as the
okay.
as the
just making sure.
Yeah. So whatever their next game is, I think it should not be anything they've done before, because everything they've done before has either revolutionized that genre or has been, at the very least, very successful in that genre.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it would be really cool to see them step out of their typical boundaries. I really do not want to see another MOBA come into this scene because we've seen that multiple times where you've come in and you've noticed, oh, hey, look, another MOBA that came in. Here's the Storm. We've got League of Legends.
Dota.
No, Dota's a Valve system. I mean, part of the MOBA.
Yeah, like of the MOBA
platform.
genre, I meant.
But yeah, I was like, wait a minute, hold on.
And Overwatch has elements of a MOBA in it, so it's...
To an extent, yeah, you're correct. I didn't... That's very possible that they pulled that from previous predecessors, but I agree. I think it would be interesting to see where they move to going on to these new IPs that they're bragging about. So I'm wondering what they'll follow with.
Well, I kind of had, and you also have to look at the settings of all these. They're actually very diverse, Blizzard is, in the settings and core stories of their games. I mean, you have the fantasy setting in World of Warcraft, Diablo. You have the futuristic setting in Overwatch and, what was their StarCraft. And then you also have kind of a mix, or kind of a mixture of fantasy and sci-fi in Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm, respectively. So, I would kind of like to see, and this is just a complete spitball out of left field, but I think that Blizzard could do very well with trying to innovate some sort of either action-adventure game, maybe even a platformer if they could do it well enough.
I think what we've seen from Blizzard's formula, I wouldn't see a platformer. I mean, would I be surprised? Maybe 90% surprised. I'd still have a 10%. It's like, yeah, whatever, it's Blizzard. You know what I think they really should make, though?
What?
Dating sims.
Oh, boy. Oh, yes, I want to romance my Tracer. I want to romance... I want to do the romance plot line for Reaper.
We're talking completely out of a situation here. I mean, if we want them to go to a completely new genre, and I mean completely new, they should just do a dating sim. Then they would throw so many people off. But the funny thing is, they'd still sell a ton of copies because they're Blizzard. How interesting would that be? In fact, that's kind of funny. Just imagine if they made a dating sim. It didn't even incorporate its old characters. So, like, there wasn't Reinhardt trying to hit on Tracer or, say, gosh, I can't remember people. I was thinking of I was trying to make a League of Legends reference. That didn't work. But anyway, just imagine a dating sim from Blizzard. It's completely original, all new characters, and everyone's like, is this a real thing?
Hold on, I've got it. I have got the next thing they should do. They should go into a massively, an MMO, or not an MMO, an MMO, but not an MMORPG. An MMO racing game.
Oh, boy.
They should innovate. They should try to create something that can compete with Mario Kart, that can compete with Forza, that can outdo all of these established racing games. I have faith Blizzard could do it. I know they could.
Oh, man. Well, you heard it here first. Dylan and I want a dating sim and an MMO racing game from Blizzard.
When I listen to this show back in a few years and I see one of those two exist...
Why not both? Just, you know what? Forget it. Let's just make it both. Because at this point, I think we're so far... We're not even in the ballpark anymore. We're, like, outside 5 blocks away over at, like, Martellini's or something.
Jordan... Not everyone wants a Rocket League dating sim.
That's really weird, and I don't want to see high octane. Wow, that was a joke that just came out before I even mentioned. That's great. That's it. That's impressive. We came up with that. Anyway, we're notorious for this on this show sometimes to come up with interesting things like that. But anyway, let's go into a different subject because that's pretty much what we want to see. Blizzard, once again, like we said. Also, just to mention this too, before we move on. Is to compliment them on their success with the localization of their esports scene right now. We currently have several different teams that have signed up for this and have seen that more stable background for their players. They have retirement plans coming in. They're paid minimum $50,000 a year. In addition to that, you have your own place to live. You have, if I said it already, but retirement plans. you're pretty much comp like a regular job at this point, which is a really cool thing to say.
Isn't that insane that you can get a retirement plan as a pro gamer, just like built in with being a pro gamer?
It's like an actual job now. It's so weird, right?
Like you can actually get an IRA, or like pretty much an IRA by being a pro gamer. That is a total advancement from what it was back in the day.
Yeah, and that's really cool because that's one of the things that people always stress about is they've always wanted to treat the players the best they can. And a lot of people, when they first saw that Overwatch had this magnanimous price tag for corporations or just companies in general to sign into getting an official esports team, fun fact, it's $20 million if you wanted to actually have an esports team localized in your area. So ergo, why you saw people like New England Patriots come in and be like, oh yeah, we can sign a team, no issues whatsoever. That $20 million, well, granted, went to the players for sure for what we saw. There's also that side of me that's a little skeptical, and that I feel like there's going to be a union that comes in the next year or so and really starts to try to beef that up a little bit more. Because we're starting to see some stabilization in the scene, but I'm also seeing this side of me that's kind of skeptical because realize that that's $20 million. They're getting paid $50,000 a year. You know, you have 5 players on a team, 6 players on a team. I'll just say 6 players. $300,000 that you get paid right off the bat there. I'm not incorporating taxes for math purposes, but that's $300,000 per year that you're investing into it. But that's a $20 million hold. You know, you got to see where that matches up.
Yeah. Plus, also there's a lot of other expenses that you might not foresee. It could be cheaper than you expect if you're, like the New England Patriots going, oh, yeah, I'll put money into this. But it could also be a lot more expensive if you want to fly players from certain places, put players up, Esports it's starting to kind of be treated like normal real sports, and it's very interesting, but also has its own challenges as well.
It's also really weird, too. This is a good talk I heard recently from another show that I listen to on a daily basis. It's interesting because someone brought up this point that my mind needed to think about for a minute, which is, Dylan, it's so weird because you can play an online video game at any point in time, but to then move what was established for many years as an online scene, then turn it back into a LAN scene is so weird because you're like, oh man, I thought we were trying to get away from LAN scenes, and then we go back into LAN scenes. And that's what kind of establishes us as an esport, which is an interesting thing to think about there. Just let that sink in for a moment. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I always have, because I'm not a pro gamer by any means, but I have gone and competed at LAN tournaments that, are just around.
Yep.
Mostly Smash, but I've also done Mortal Kombat X, and I believe I also tried my hand at Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which got blown out of the water. I am horrible at that game, but I've been to LAN tournaments, and I've also competed in online tournaments, and to me, there's always something special, more hype, more interesting about LAN tournaments than online, because you get kind of a big arena feel.
Oh yeah,
and I can I'll kind of akin it to something like basketball, or even in my case, something I've been to a lot, pro wrestling. Yeah, I can watch WrestleMania on TV, but when I went to WrestleMania as a kid, the atmosphere was so much grander, so much more intense, so much more exciting than if I was just watching it on TV.
On a side note, I just like that you're wearing the shirt with Xavier Woods and the whole crew on there with a unicorn in the back, and Xavier Wood is currently playing a
slide trombone. Yes,
a trombone. Goodness gracious.
New Day rocks.
Oh man. Well, either way.
Speaking of which, though, did you see the recent, before we segue into the big thing that we're going to talk about next, but did you see that Austin Creed, Xavier Woods, actually did compete in a Tekken tournament?
I did, yeah. He did horrible.
Well, he and another popular pro wrestler who's also competes at EVO, named Kenny Omega, they played in the opening round, and I believe Kenny Omega got a little bit further, but yeah, they both competed, and that's just kind of a little Star Watch there. But speaking of esports, we have kind of new scene that we're seeing form here, or a new kind of almost maybe innovation in esports happening right down in Florida. Is that right?
Yeah, innovation. I don't know if that would
Possibly.
be the word. I think what is interesting
Advancements,
out
possibly.
of it though is that. So let's backtrack this first.
Yeah.
Disney's TV show channel, excuse me, not show, Disney XD, recently broadcasted the EVO 2017 Super Smash Bros. Events over there. For those of you that didn't see it, I'm sure the VOD is available somewhere online. So, first of all, side note, to see Smash be featured on TV is a super cool thing. But one thing that didn't really take to my attention that I didn't realize until that came up was how much that Disney XD is putting into this whole mix array here of esports. So where I'm going with this is that Disney is trying to take that adventure into esports. First of all, for those of you who don't know, they have a complex sponsored by ESPN that's down there. It's a worldwide complex which has multiple different arrays of different sports events that go on there. You do also see, I know I'm familiar with this, is that they have the Special Olympics events hosted down there.
Yes.
Around the Orange County area, which is cool as a side note. But the thing that's crazy about it is that facility is now building an esports arena in the mix.
An esports arena, and again, like I said earlier with the wrestling example, an arena that's big, that's more grand. That's something that we haven't really, that's a pretty good first step into esports, considering Disney hasn't really gotten too involved with esports before the whole EVO thing. I mean, they had a little bit with, the Nintendo World Championships a year ago, but they didn't really follow up on it.
I think that was just, I thought it was just going to be a one-off event, and they were like, whatever, it's not really that cool.
Yeah.
But I guess it just turned out to be something completely different. So this is the cool part, is that this is an 8,000-seat arena that they build, and that's all built into that complex in of itself. So, side note, this is super crazy because I've been there before. So I kind of want to visit there again just so that I could get the opportunity to go over to that location and be like, so how does this work?
Yeah.
It'd be really cool. I mean, I've got family that's nearby. I think it'd be a fun little opportunity. Maybe we'll make it happen. Maybe we'll make a business trip down there. Level Up Weekly presents an adventure at the ESPN complex. Someone from Disney, I hope that you're listening. We'd love to hear that.
And we love you, Disney.
Yeah.
Please take us.
Most of the time, except you signed that guy named Jake Paul. That's a different story for a different day. But anyway, so Disney, again, esports arena, 8,000 is their capacity that's going to be able to support for it. The cool thing that I think it is that after that EVO event, they also announced their other sponsorships with ESL to be able to create more competitive tournaments and speed runs to be hosted on their time blocks over on Disney XD.
Well, Disney's already kind of gotten into that with the Jacksepticeye. He is teaming up with a few other people doing a Polaris Player Select, which is basically a Let's Play show on TV.
Yep.
And that's, again, we've talked about this in the past where, it's crazy how far gaming has gone and how live streaming, Let's Playing, and esports have gone. But we now have a network televised Let's Plays. That is incredible. That is just so strange, and it happened almost out of nowhere, really.
Also really weird to think about, too. Like, a lot of people, for me growing up, if you were watching gaming content on YouTube, just generically mentioning examples, it doesn't have to be necessarily these people in particular, but you're watching PewDiePie or Markiplier or those guys growing up, it's so weird because you go to certain groups in your high school and they're like, that's so lame and you're such a nerd. And now it's hosted on Disney XD's platform, which, if you're growing up during that period, they're like, oh, if you're watching this on YouTube, blah, 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 it must be, really lame or boring. And now it's like, okay, this is on TV now. There must be a demand for it, which means that someone wanted to sign this up here.
So, as a little aside question, do you think gaming has kind of gone through all of its, as a cultural perception, has gone through all the growing pains, and do you think it's finally accepted at the level of TV or radio? Like, do you think people finally see gaming as something that's just a natural media, rather than the kind of oddity that it was back in the from the kind of 90s onward?
That's a good question. Let's take a second to delve into this. I'll give my opinion, you give your opinion. Let's see what we can come up with here. I think what I found is that we have seen a great increase in the popularity of video games. And I don't mean that like more people buy the video games. I think if I remember right, and I may need to look this back up to confirm, the amount of video games that were sold, granted, there's more people that are in the game market, so it's sold more appropriately. But I think we are seeing how this has become more of a cultural norm that people have played video games versus prior, which was something that was just considered a really nerdy effort, and that it was just kind of for people that weren't really physically talented or, other things. But of course, when things come into play and people realize that you can play this game play an esport, and all of a sudden it brings in this competition and this sense of thrill, and people start realizing that that's a potential thing. That's when you come into play and you go, this is a thing. Like, this is a legitimate and respected thing that could come into play.
And I was just looking up the statistics here, and over the years, the last recorded account of revenue was back in 2013, where video games in general, $76 billion is what the revenue was across the world, which, that's comparable to TV. That's comparable to movies. That's comparable to a lot of other forms of media.
For sure.
And to me, I do believe that gaming has finally gotten to that point of acceptance, because if you think about all other forms of media, radio, mostly radio, television, film, music, all of these things had growing pains where, people were boycotting things. We had that in the 90s with Jack Thompson, who was trying to get video games pretty much banned in the States because of the Grand Theft Auto hot coffee minigame and everything.
Yep, that was a very entertaining time, which was really funny because most of the information and research that he put together was debunked in, I think it was 7 years later, or maybe even it was in the 2000s, but I remember that. It was really funny because Jack got jacked. I don't mean that as a stupid pun, but that guy, whatever research he threw into it just got pulled.
I mean, it was so bad that he got debarred. As he was an attorney, he got debarred. That means you have to do something really embarrassing or really bad to have that happen to you. But just like
either that, or he was probably an avid Halo player, and he was just like, no, you can't call me a noob. I'll teabag you by taking away your
I'm gonna ban this game. I'm sorry, I suck.
I'm gonna ban this guy from Twitch chat, aka our lawyer. Hold on.
But
what a reference.
But with television had all the growing pains with what's good for TV, what can't be on TV. Oh man, if you're watching TV instead of listening to radio, you're a wild rebel. Or if you're listening to those hip music channels, it's the devil's music, and all those negative perceptions existed for these, and we went through it in gaming. I think we're finally at the point where all age groups that are around today, even if they don't game themselves, understand gaming, or at least comprehend its success and why kids like it. I mean, it's not like back in the 90s where, there were still the older generation who was like, oh, these newfangled video games, but now it's kind of more like, oh, well, yeah, my grandson plays video games. I got him one for Christmas. It's less weird than it's ever been before, and I do believe that this increase in esports activity and this increase in actual televised gaming content, aside from G4 back in the day, which was ahead of its time, is just kind of proving that we have moved into an era where gaming and being a gamer is finally the norm, rather than being a rare little subsect or a cool little niche that, exists. And speaking of that, I mean, Disney, one of the largest entertainment companies in the world, finally trying to get a piece of, esports and the gaming, the Let's Play fad, I think it's just even just shows more that now big businesses have more faith in gaming than ever before.
But there's also a side of me that just made me think about this, how skeptical I am that Disney walked into this scene. And hear me out on this. Obviously, we know Disney is a great demographic for kids. Anything from, I would say, probably about anywhere as small as infants, well, not infants, toddlers, excuse me, up through, to probably 12, 13 years old. So they're trying to sign into esports. 12 to 13-year-olds, most people kind of want to get the group that's between 15 to like 24 is the demographic that I would look for. So let's think about that for a second. We have a company that basically has all kids watching, signing into an esports firm industry.
I will argue that for Disney, because Disney, if it was just Disney, just the Walt Disney Company that we knew, or that we thought we knew as kids, then yes, I would agree it's kind of an odd thing. But you have to realize, Disney, like many other networks, own a lot more than just Walt Disney.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they own ESPN. They own Marvel Studios. They own Lucasfilm. They own a lot of different things. And that means that it's in their best interest to try to get the largest range of consumers and customers that they can.
Right.
So, and also, if you show these to kids, like if you aim for, say, the 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old demographic, like those 8, 9 years, and they're, if they're watching it, their younger siblings or cousins or family members will look up to them and watch it with them and be like, oh, wow, I didn't know people played gaming like it was a sport, or like that they played gaming like it was this big thing. Whoa, is that a huge stadium? Oh, that's awesome. I want to play there and then it just grows up. They create a new fan base, a new just general fan base that will continue to grow and continue to grow. So I think this is a very smart thing for Disney. I think they are getting on it at the right time. Maybe a little later than they could. They probably could have capitalized a little bit earlier. But I think that they are, doing what they can to try to create good, stable future business from themselves. And yeah, there are some growing pains with building that fan base, building that kind of brand. But I think they can do it. And I think that this is a great first step.
You know what's going to be a really crazy thing to think about in the future, Dylan? You and I turn 50, and goodness, this would have been for me, why can't I math? 28 years for you. You're 22 or 21?
21.
So for you, 29 years. So when both of us turn 50 and 49, like, we're going to look back to these days and be like, do you remember when esports was like growing, and now all of a sudden there's a bunch of these like major arenas, multi-million-dollar arenas, just sitting around in local cities and being like, oh, this is if these games still go around during the time, here's an Overwatch squad, or here's something else coming into play, like a Rocket League or something like that. Like, how crazy would that be to see something like that in the future?
I mean, shoot, we can look back even further and say, hey, do you remember when YouTube was just starting out and gaming was becoming, popular there? Like, it's crazy how much advancement we've had in the last 10 years. Just imagine what we can do in 30.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be incredible.
One thing that I love about the current timeline that we have seen is the ability to innovate in such an efficient manner, to see something that was so slow. I can take computers as an example, how we see computers go from their snail rate, but back then considered lightning fast, to today's norm, which then the next year is like the average again. And it's like, how do we do this? We give ourselves a year, we give ourselves 2 years, and now we have this new platform again. It's like, what in the world? Like, how do we innovate so well?
Well, optimist and pessimist can point to two different schools of thought on why we do this. Optimists will be like, yeah, we're the most ambitious, humans are innately ambitious and want to continue evolving, continue moving forward. And then pessimists can say, people are lazy. They want everything to be easier and, just all more for fun and games. So, whichever school you subscribe to, there's still, the fact that we are advancing so much faster than ever before. I mean, if you take the time period from the 20s to the 50s, 50s to the 80s and the 90s to today, the rate of change is vastly more now than it was back in those time periods.
And it's the ability to keep adapting to the way they are. And this is going to be something to see because esports is really hit into this technological market that changes so often. So I'm smacking things. Sorry if you just heard that.
He's so excited.
To see how this is going to unfold in the future, again, because this is associated with the technological innovation and engineering that we keep seeing, this really brings out to me the question that's like, are we going to see the same game in 5 years be as successful, or are we going to see some other game come in, replace that old one that was in, and that's going to be the cycle? Or is it going to be a truly defined, consistent sport going forward? And that's the question that I think a lot of people are going to be interested to look at.
Yeah, because if you think about it, other sports have evolved a little bit, but not in their core rules or in their core functions. I mean, if you think about it, Overwatch is not going to exist for 100 years. I mean, it might, but probably not. It's not going to exist as it core does for 100 years like something like basketball or football has, with only the minor changes of, hey, now you have to wear pads. Hey, now you have to do this. Now there's this regulation. So that's a really good question. What is going to happen for esports? How is it going to progress? Is it going to be super stable? Is it going to be kind of is it going to fluctuate a lot? We really don't know, and that'll be something that's definitely interesting to see.
Well, I can tell you one thing that I'm really curious to see if they'll ever decide to not break their own record every single year. I swear that they can just practically triple this one year, and they just intentionally don't do it. So for those of you that don't know, Dota 2 Internationals are going on this week. You may have been already watching it, as it did start on Monday, August 7th, and it goes through August 12th. You may have already been seeing it, but where have you been seeing it is going to be the other thing, because you've either been watching this on Twitch or you've been watching this on the live television broadcast over on Jinx TV Esports, which signed Dota 2 and in general Valve games to be able to be broadcasted on their television channel. And speaking of TV on esports.
And that is just another phenomenal advancement. I mean, who would have ever thought that this would be popular 10 years ago? I mean, 10 years ago you had G4, which was, a small little indie channel. It wasn't really anything big, but now you have actual channels wanting to sign exclusive rights to certain games and companies. That shows a real bit of faith and commitment to this scene, to the gaming realm. And it's something that I feel like a broken record, we've never seen before, and it's incredible that we are seeing it now.
Yeah, and to be able, again, to see what continues is really cool. So, I was saying that they broke records. Of course they did, because this is Dota 2, and this is Valve, that, can just be like, oh, look, it's broken again. We broke the record again. I feel like it's going to be a point that they're going to keep climbing up until it's 55 million, and then it breaks down. So they intentionally don't go to that super giant prize pool, here's an extra 2 million, here's an extra 15 million. No, they probably go another extra 2 million, and they keep stocking it away so they can keep doing this. Anyway, last year was 21 million. This year, it is now 23 million. What are your thoughts?
I think it's just a natural progression for Dota 2 right now, and if you look at it, it's been kind of a very solid, very stable increase for every year. So, hey, 25 million next year. Woo!
Yeah, 20. In before it goes to 25 for sure. Because I think last year it went to either before the year before. So last year, 21 million. The year before that, it's probably going to be 19 million is my assumption, if I remember right. But anyway, this year, 23 million. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
To play a video game for that much, it's crazy.
Yeah. What's the top prize pool for Rocket League, since you know a lot about how does it compare there?
Man, we are not a good comparison at Dota 2. We get a lot of community funding, and there's some really cool things. Right now, speaking of things happening on television, NBC got the opportunity to broadcast the Universal Open, which is a $100,000 2v2 tournament hosted in part with Psyonix. So that one was on television. Preluding to that, the Rocket League Championship Series, I think if I remember right, it was 375,000 cumulatively
That
over
sounds
the
about
prize
right.
pool, something in that ballpark, 350 if not. Again, I think there's a potential for another increase in it. We'll find out. We've seen a lot of different like big money tournaments pop up recently. DreamHack, another great example, both in Sweden and in Atlanta. Both of them hitting $50,000 prize pools. So that's also crazy to see. But yeah, it's so weird. You know, Rocket League has now hit television twice, with NBC signing the contract and the X Games in working with ESPN getting it on their platform too. It's like it's so crazy. You see all of these different opportunities pop up, and people get the ability to go out and do stuff like this. Like we wouldn't have imagined this before. So for me, seeing this from a new scene and seeing how this has rapidly grown to the way that it's grown is so cool to see this one thing that was a Twitch stream for 5,000 viewers turn up to today sitting at, well, I should say not today, as of Sunday, 60,000 viewers over on Twitch, but even more on television. You know, that's just so cool to see.
Well, because television ratings are still, still pretty important. And very, very, very few cable networks get below a 1.0. And if I remember reading correctly, all of these esports, from the Counter-Strike to the Overwatch to the Rocket Leagues, they all pull at least a 1.0, which is kind of, it's impressive because some TV networks don't get 1.0s that often. They get more like 0.8, 0.9. So to get over cumulative 1 million viewers, and that's just incredible. I mean, I feel like I'm a broken record yet again, even about my bit about being a broken record. Just the fact that you can have so many people watching on Twitch, on an actual television networks, on your TV, in your big on your big screen in your living room. It's just so foreign, so weird, but so great at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. And as a side note, if any of you are wondering, if you would like to watch the Dota 2 Internationals, they are of course coming up Monday through Friday, I think it is, the 12th.
Yes.
12th, the 12th, my calendar, please open. Thank you. Yeah, it goes through Saturday. If you want to check it out, the main event is going to be going on during that time period, so we'll see how that follows up from there. So outside of that, we're starting to near toward the end of our show here. Outside of that, really, there hasn't been too much else that's been hitting the news market. Just a couple little things that have come in here and there. One thing we can mention, of course, is that, it's so cool that apparently the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy remaster apparently put in Activision's key to say, we should put out more remasters. So they're going to be making more coming up here soon, as they found out that was the June bestseller for PlayStation Network.
And it's going to be really nice being able to play some vintage games on a modern console. So it's going to be great to see what they remaster next.
Exactly. So outside of that, I think we're nearing toward the end of our show here. We're roughly about there. I just noticed here, I was looking through to make sure that we didn't miss anything else on the news. This one's kind of funny. We'll mention this one briefly. Two esports reality shows planned for Australia and Southeast Asia. How'd you like to live a reality TV series in esports?
It would be so weird. Would it be like that thing where they all live in the same house and have all those crazy little sitcom adventures?
This is interesting. One of the projects is called Game to Fame, ambitiously conceived as a multi-season series and movie franchise that will focus initially on FIFA, before hosting Big Brother-style contests for Dota 2, League of Legends, and Counter-Strike Global Offensive. The project comes courtesy of Singapore-based production entity Spout Entertainment Group and Asian media investor Aurora Media Holdings. Okay, so you want to watch Big Brother Gaming Edition?
Absolutely. That sounds awesome.
Oh man.
Now, if
I already know what my parents are going to be watching. Just kidding. They're not into video games.
Now, if only we could get like a PUBG style, but not like actual murder.
Oh my
but
goodness.
like a esports survivor type thing, where like everyone's like on a deserted island with only a big screen TV in there.
So Dylan basically wants to put a situation where you're in a post-apocalyptic version of Russia, and that you're supposed to fight each other to the death jumping off of a plane. This seems legit, Dylan. I don't think we're gonna make you an EP of a TV show coming up.
Tell me that wouldn't make a compelling TV show or movie.
Oh gosh,
It's actually a solid premise.
I could see a movie for sure, but we were talking about reality shows, and I was like, we're definitely not going to make a reality show out of this.
Oh yes, make a fear.com or what was that one thing where they had
Someone has like a car 98 sitting on top of the hill while someone's getting interviewed. Yeah, it's been a rough ride so far, but I've been able to grind it out. Circle's going to be heading out shortly. I'm going to be going, oh no, he's dead.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Woo. On TV. Yes, let's do that. That's how TV works, Dylan. We like, comment, and subscribe on TV, and we just pay our subscription bills on YouTube.
Hey, that's what the Nielsen ratings basically are. So, yeah. Well, as we're wrapping it up, we're about 55 minutes through the show. Do we have anything else we want to kind of wrap up here?
Outside of that, I think that's pretty much it here. Let's remind everybody, twitch.tv/Sphrnidae, SPHYRNIDAE. You're going to be seeing some awesome 36-hour gaming marathon live stream content to support Helen DeVos Children's Hospital. Again, that is Level Up FTK 2017. Fourth year going on for us here. It's going to be outstanding. Dylan and I are going to be there rocking it for most of the time. We're going to be having some of our other buddies, including our good friend and colleague, Austin, alongside with some other really good friends of ours coming into the show. I guess into the stream is what I should rather say, as otherwise that's a really long show.
Yeah.
But anyway, coming up here soon, next week, August 13th, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, going up till August 14th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, you can always give us some support here on the show at Level Up Weekly on Twitter, patreon.com/Level Up Weekly. If you guys want to give us a little bit of support there, helping us keep this production of the show going and be able to sit in this radio studio like we'd like to. And outside of that, follow myself on my personal Twitter at SphrnidaeRL, and I think I've done enough plugging, unless there's one that I missed.
Yeah, just follow us on Podbean and here on the radio as well. iTunes, anywhere else you can find us. Twitch is another place. Just follow us and support us.
Just keep a hold of us, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Level Up Weekly. Tune in next week for your Level Up experience.